Before I was building Jeeps, I was racing dirt bikes. And I never thought I would switch, but I did. It all started the Christmas morning when I was 2 years old. I unwrapped my very first dirt bike. It was a Yamaha PW50. So I had my PW50 with training wheels and I was having a blast. There was a place we went about an hour away from our house growing up, and that's what we did every single weekend. No matter what was going on, we were there. And I was riding, I had my training wheels, having a blast, just learning everything. And soon enough, that wasn't enough for me. I'd have the training wheels off. And I kept telling my dad, we were driving home that Sunday, and I said, Dad, I got to have these off. I got to have these off. And my dad just kept saying, you're not getting the training wheels off till you ride your bike without training wheels. So I'll never forget that night. I went home, I crashed. I didn't stop. I rode that bicycle that day until I could ride it without training wheels. And I said, hey, Dad, come look at this. I have something to show you. So up until I was about 13, mostly we just rode. That's all we did is ride. And there was a Grand Prix that came to Lubbock, and it was in town. Downtown, but it was in town. And my dad said to me one day, he said, hey, you want to go race this? And, we went and did that, and it started really a race career is what it was. And we went to every one of those races from there on out. And my dad used to race before I was born, but he used to race enduros. And we got into this Grand Prix thing, and I didn't know it at the time. But what was so cool about it is it wasn't the racing. It was the family environment. It was when you left Friday night, that was family time. Yeah, we're going racing, but we're in a camper together. We're doing everything together. Everything was together. Yes, there's great times about that. Yes, there's bad things about that. My mom still to this day can't stand me and my dad together because of this. Looking back at it, I couldn't ask for a better way to grow up. It was really awesome. We were around our family nonstop, around our friends. It wasn't every weekend, but it was every other weekend. The weekends we weren't racing, we were riding. That being said, as I got older, we got more into the racing and stuff, and we had planned a trip to Colorado, and we went on a big trail ride that day, and for several days before, and I was bugging my dad about going to a motocross track, and my dad's always, we follow motocross, we love motocross, but it's unsafe, right? It's all unsafe, but motocross is definitely more risky. And there was a national track that I wanted to go to, just one of those bucket list places, and we ended up going. And the second day we were there, unfortunately, I crashed. The crash didn't even look bad, and it was a pretty bad crash. I ended up going over the bars, and the bike hit me in the back. Ended up breaking my back. Real bad deal, It took me about a year to recover from that. As soon as I recovered, I was back on the bike. This carried on till really I was about 18, 19 years old, and my dad didn't necessarily not want to go, but he stopped riding. He would go to these races with me, but he wasn't riding. And for some reason, for me, that's the time I realized the fun I had was riding with my dad. And I didn't know it till then. And you know, there was a big break in between that and when we started doing this, doing some of this Jeep stuff. But, you know, we were out at Maris Adventure one day and, you know, we went on a trail ride and we were just having a blast. And we're sitting there talking on the radio. And I said, you know what, Dad? I said, this is the same feeling and the same fun I had as when we were racing dirt bikes. I said, except you're sitting here with an AC, man. So, you know, we had been out that day and we'd been there for, you know, 2-3 hours, but absolutely had a blast. And, you know, we try to now every weekend, if not every weekend, you know, do something related to that. It doesn't have to be going and doing trail stuff, but we're always thinking about something. We're always dreaming about trips we're going to make to do this stuff again. And I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? That's exactly what we were doing when we were riding dirt bikes. And I think that's what sparked most of the Jeep stuff. So whether it's builds or planning trips, you know, it gets us together once again, and not just my dad. I mean, there's a huge group involving the Jeep stuff, especially here in West Texas. And, you know, I've had an absolute blast with it. But like I said, guys, I kind of wanted to just come on here and share my background with off-road and really how I got into it. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for staying this far. Subscribe if you can and like the video. Thank you.